And that's just like that. That's just how we do that. Here today is, of course, July 31st. It's the last, no, July 30th. I'm a day ahead of myself. I apologize. Today is the last Wednesday of July, and we're talking about minority and mental health. Hi, it's your girl, Martisha Sherman, the unapologetic therapist, here to give you guidance, awareness, and understanding about mental health in the Black and Brown community, as well as other communities as well. But my passion is so much for the dismantling and destigmatizing and taking away the stereotypes and all that other stuff when it comes to the lack of understanding when it comes to mental health in the Black and Brown community. Everybody needs a therapist. You can fight me on that. I'm just going to tell you, because therapy is talk therapy. Even though some may not see the value in it, but it is great value in talking to a specialist, someone who specializes in mental health, such as myself, the unapologetic one. I had an opportunity to speak to someone, and they said that they love that because I was talking about becoming more in my zone of motivational speaking, more in my zone of being the encourager, because that's how I raise my children. Of course, I'm a mom of four, but I talk to my kids about that, being empowered, empowering others, and being an encourager. So I asked a question about, talking about mental health, and the statement was made. Your statement says enough itself, being unapologetic. I say, yeah, because I'm all about breaking cliches that what happens in this house stays in this house. Don't tell family secrets. Don't do this or no. Nobody needs to know your business. No, they don't. But a specialist can help you prepare your day and prepare your life's journey, especially when you're dealing with common ailments when it comes to mental health. And I call those common ailments like sadness, depression, um, feeling overwhelmed, overthinking, which a lot of us do when we say that we don't, but we do. When it comes to my field of therapy, we are thinkers. We think a lot because we have to observe, we have to intake, do different assessments and stuff like that so we can gain the proper knowledge as well as give the proper diagnosis to those who um, may not be in a safe space of themselves within their thought process. So I'm excited that you're joining in here with me on this Wednesday of July 30th. There are some great things happening in the community when it comes to mental health and organizations that are out there preparing for it. I'm collaborating with a lot of individuals because, again, I love the community. And I really believe when you're out there in the community and you're giving them the proper resources, it's up to them to take up on that information, to be able to use that information and create it of value for them. We are still gearing up to sponsor our 6 teachers, our 3 men and our 3 women on all grade levels. And that is school level. We're not there yet for college, but we're talking about an elementary school teacher, male and female, elementary school, middle school teacher, male and female, and high school teacher, male or female. Don't make me be the one to pick because I've taught for years in the Sheldon School District, in not HISD, Channelview, Channelview, I forgot, Crosby, ISD. So be on the lookout. My website is going to have that information, and I will put a blast commercial out there about that information. But today, we're talking about healing on our own terms when it comes to reimagining mental health for minority communities. Healing on our own terms. Now, statistical, they will say that when it comes to healing on our own terms, when it comes to Black and Brown communities, we have the dual diagnosis. We will find out something's wrong, but then we'll turn around and we'll go to something to help us cope with that because we don't want to deal with it, such as alcohol, illicit drugs, gambling and stuff like that. Um, and I want to take a spin on that, because that's not necessarily so when we're talking about seeking other avenues in order to cope with things that we cope with. When it comes to the Black and Brown community, especially the Black community, and we look at centuries beyond decades and beyond all of that, you notice that that culture, that race has grown through a lot of things, and they've known how to survive those things. May it be creating different avenues of income, creating different things, learning how to do different stuff. I have been so on this viewing of Black Wall Street. And of course, there is a young man who's teaching about Black Wall Street, and I think he's called the Wall Street Trapper. But just learning about how the mind can do so many different things and think of so many avenues to be able to become wealthy, become healed, to do different things to better their mentality, to better themselves. So when we're talking about healing on our own terms, and I was meaning to put out some questions about that. Healing on our own terms. How do we heal on our own terms? What do we gravitate to when it comes to healing on our own terms and reimagining mental health for minority communities? Well, when we talk about healing on our own terms, finding different ways of how we can have better coping skills when it comes to minority and communities. How can we imagine mental health? What does mental health really look like to you when it talks about being mentally healthy and your mental health being your wealth? Healing on our own terms, what does that mean when we're talking about in the community, having those conversations that we otherwise don't want to have in the community? How can we have those conversations? How can we build up on that in the community when it comes to healing on our own terms? What can we do? How can we find best conversations? How we do that is we get into the community and we have those conversations. Um, let's see here. When we talk about community outreach, doing workshops like the event that we just had here recently, tonight is the night mental health symposium. That was something that we can find out and have an avenue to be able to ask questions of how can we as a community learn how to heal on our own terms and that they be effective. Uh, when it comes to sitting down, and I really do, and I really enjoyed the conversation that we had with Mr. White uh, on the at the event for tonight is night mental health symposium, where he sat us down almost like in a group setting and was like, "Hey, come everybody, come sit down, let's sit in a circle as if we're hosting a group session." And he talked about different things such as, the fact that he is also in the mental health industry, and he talks about um, substance abuse, people who are out here with substance abuse and trying to find a way to deal with, what it is that's troubling them the most. How can we as a culture learn to, because we mistrust, we don't trust a lot of things. How can we culturally mistrust and have mental access, exploring how historical harm and systematic negligence have shaped our heritage, how it has shaping things that went on for us for generations. How can we explore that? How can we look at our history and look at the harm that the system caused with the neglect? What does trust building look like between communities and a therapist? Learning that therapy, we're not there to judge. And if you have met a therapist that's there to judge you and to point the finger and point the blame, then you have right to change therapists. Me, I'll tell you up front, whether you be with me, this is a no sub. This is actually a no judgment zone, regardless whether you're a client of mine or anywhere. When it comes to talking to me, this is a judgment free zone because I'll tell you, I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. Let alone I can tell you what you're about to tell me 9 times out of 10. I've already been there. I say this over and over again. We do great. We age gracefully. Looking at me in another what month and a half, maybe I'll be 54. I'm excited about turning 54, to be honest with you, because it grows with wisdom and it grows with time for me. I love the fact that I can sit down and really express who I truly am, so someone will know that I'm not judging you in no shape, form, or fashion when it comes to mental health. So, how can we explore how historical terms and the systematic neglect have shaped our heritage? Uh, just the thing about our culture, because we don't trust. Honestly, let's be honest. Let's have honest conversation when it comes to Black and Brown community. We don't trust a lot of people. We really don't. And even our own, we don't trust our own. We will at times go outside of our culture and talk to other people because we don't trust our own, or sometimes we'll just go and talk and knowing that that person is going to tell everything about what we just told them. When it comes to a professional like myself and we're talking about mental health talk and therapy, the conversation stays right there. It's very confidential. When it comes to a professional such as myself, as well as other professionals, other therapists, we cannot disclose our conversations with nobody. I don't care. And I'm saying this to be in a joking matter, but I'm very serious. Even though Jesus know everything. If he came to us and asked us, could we tell him what was going on? If there is not a signed disclosure letter, we can't do it. You would have to sign a release of information form in order for us to have any kind of conversation with anybody about what you talk to us about in a session. So now when we talk about faith, spirituality, mental health, healing on our own terms, refraining from prayer, ancestral rituals, community care as valid healing modalities, how do we bridge spiritual tradition with clinical practice? Y'all know I've been on that. Y'all know I have been so on that. Ministry and mental health, faith and the mindset. How can we bridge that gap? I know we've been taught for so long, pray about it, pray about it, pray about it. But one at the Tonight is the Night Mental Health Symposium, I met a gentleman and we kind of knew each other, but it was so funny when we got to talking and we were talking about mental health in ministry. And so often we get told to pray about it, but nobody actually give us the real tools to do what it is need to be done after you pray about it. Because it says prayer, faith without works is dead. You can pray about a thing all you want, but if you don't put no legs to it, it's not going to go anywhere. So praying about what has happened to you in the household, what has happened to you in the family, may have been access, raped, violence, domestic violence, anything of that sort. Praying about it is fine. But if you really are listening to what God is telling you, He's saying, I got people out here who can help you. I have people out here who can give you that support and give you the right support. If I was to say that I was a Christian counselor, I am. Even though I don't have the title, but I have the ministry license. When it comes to mental health, I'm going to, and I say this with all my clients when they walk inside of the door, I'm going to ask you, what is your religious beliefs? Because I, for one, am not going to ever cross any type of line. I'd rather for my walk to be my talk than for my talk to be just words can be said, anything. I want you to watch my walk. If I'm walking the right way and I'm walking the right path and I'm doing the right thing, and I'm the type to, you can do all that you can do to try and hurt me. And this is honest. I'm being. I have such a forgiving heart till I'm like, okay, I know when to cut you off, and then I'm be like, okay, I got to move on. But I'm not about karma. I let karma do what she gonna do. Me and karma don't have the same address, but I'm not. I don't. I'm not a revengeful type of person. I'm not that type. I'm gonna pray for you honestly because that statement hurt people is not true. Hurt people can only hurt you when you allow them to hurt you. If you give them that space, you give them that head space and you give them that heart space to hurt you, then they can hurt you. But you can stop all that. A hurt person don't have to hurt you. They can continue to hurt themselves. That's what I let them do. Hurt people don't hurt me, because I could tell from a mile away that you're going to be something that I'm going to have to, ask God to give me grace to be able to give you the grace. Now, when we talk about again, spiritual faith, mental health, how do we bridge spiritual traditions with clinical practices? That's a conversation we need to have. I really wish pastors would sit down with us. I really wish that pastors, parishioners, those in that church setting, those that are leaders in church would sit down and talk with us, first responders, us therapists, because we believe that for those who combine, those who collaborate faith with mental health, sit down and talk with us. I promise you, we're pretty much on the same page when it comes to the healing of your congregation, the healing of your people, the conversations to be had about mental health and prayer. And how can I pray about this if my child is dealing with depression? What do I do? We can have a scriptural foundation, but this is the necessary steps that you need to do. And when we do assessments, those assessments are to determine how much of or what's the level of depression or sadness or trauma that you've experienced, so we'll know how to create a plan for you. Even with for me being a grief specialist, I like to sit down and talk to people more about their grief. How can I best fit a plan for you? Because honestly, everything doesn't work for everybody when it comes to being a therapist. I know I may meet somebody and cognitive behavior therapy may not be the right thing for them. I may have to do somatic therapy with them, and that's asking a whole lot of repetitive questions. I may have to do DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. CBT and DBT are based on the same thing, but I would have to find out what fits my client, what it is they're needing the most when they're sitting down with me for a session. I am on pretty much a lot of platforms. I'm on Christian counseling platform. I'm on Headway's platform. I'm on Alma's platform. I just got on a platform called Open Path. Open Path is for those who don't have insurance, who can afford out of pocket like $40, between $40 to $80 a session. And that can be from individuals to couples. I was just telling I was just telling my sweetheart, I love couples counseling because it actually gives me an opportunity to really hone in and listen to both sides, because a lot of times men think that they're not heard. And I made this statement to one of my couples session. I say, women have the story, but men have the resolve. We women have the story, but men have the resolve. They know how to resolve certain things that we may not otherwise want to deal with. We can tell the story. We can sit down and tell I love our significant others, our spouses. We can tell them the story. And as that man in our life, he's thinking of a resolution. So women have the story, men have the resolve. So when it comes to, spiritual traditions and clinical practices, I would love, love, love to sit down with ministers and have a conversation. How can we both effectively help the congregation when it comes to mental health and understanding, so they're not suffering alone at home and not knowing what to do? Oh, I'm gonna call pastor because you act in a certain type of way. Well, certain times, most of the times, if that individual is acting that type of way, yeah, you can contact pastor, but I will hope pastor will reach out to a licensed professional therapist. May they be in his congregation, may they be someone that he knows that can give that person the right information and resources to get the help that they need. So generational trauma and behavior patterns, unpacking inherited emotional habits, silence, suppression, and survival. Oh my goodness. Those three S's: silence, suppression, and survival. When it comes to the Black and Brown community, we have been on survival mode centuries, centuries, survival mode. That's how we know we go on autopilot. When something traumatic happens to us, we go on out of sight, out of mind, autopilot. Why I'm going to say that? I did it. I went on autopilot, especially after, or what I have to say, during the traumatic seasons that I allowed myself to grow through in my marriage, all the way through my divorce. I was on autopilot for, I had to be on autopilot for a good 10 years. Numb. I was on numbness. I was numb to anything anybody did. I was just straight numb. I didn't care. I was not trying to deal with it. And my mind, I had to totally shut down. I was in survival mode. All I knew how to do was to be a mom and to protect my children. That was my survival mode. Making sure my kids got where they needed to go. At that time, my son went to the military, my daughter went to college in California, and I still have my youngest two, and I was on autopilot grind mode for my children. And prior to that, actually, I probably was on autopilot for more than 10 years, but I was on survival mode. How can we, and what tools can we use to rewrite behavior scripts across generations? Telling the truth, the tools to rewrite the behavior scripts across generations, telling the truth, finding the appropriate resources that we need to break down this generational behavior, and getting the right support and help that we need. If somebody is sitting up there allowing you to continue that generational pattern of behavior, I'm going to count them responsible, not accountable, but responsible, because you have every right to say that is not the best behavior at this time. So let's go and seek some professional help. And even if a person, just because a person, again, just because a person is sad, don't mean that they're depressed. And just because they're having depression doesn't mean that they have a full blown out mental health disorder. Okay. Mental health disorders are just things that people are dealing with. May it be bipolar, may it be schizophrenia, may it be schizoaffective, may it be narcissism. And I had an opportunity to deal with that. And I know that that was not my ministry, to deal with something of that caliber. I've came across many different individuals with that I would have diagnosed narcissists. But I can deal with it to a certain realm. Certain things I have a cutoff point, and I'm like, look, as a professional, to protect my license and to protect myself, I have to discontinue this service and get you over to someone who can properly care for you more effectively than I can. I know when to back down. I know when to say, this is not my ministry. This is not where I need to be when it comes to being a therapist for someone. I know that I am for everybody because I know somebody. That's why I say I am for everybody. Um, that statement, I'm not for everybody, is not true. Because if you know somebody that can help that other person, you're information highway to get somebody the resources and the necessary care that they need. So for me, tools for rewriting behavior scripts across generations. You can be that generational behavior pattern breaker. You can. I've been saying that I am ever since I was a little girl. I was going to be that generational curse. At the time they was calling it generational curse. I was going to be that generational behavioral person that was going to come in and make sure nobody was going to continue to carry that pattern on. That means that for my children, I told them, if someone touches you inappropriately, let me know. I would always say, I was the type of mom, I said, I'll fight a kid behind my kid. But for me, if someone touches you inappropriately, says the wrong language to you inappropriately, or I was the type of mom, I was so protective of my children. If I noticed a behavior, especially around my daughters, if some boys came around and did something, oh, we was moving around and I was going to tell that young man about himself. When it comes to my sons, of course, I know with them being boys and boys bully and push or whatnot, but you're gonna protect yourself. You are, as my son, But when it came to a female targeting my son, yeah, we were gonna have he got sisters, but he also got a mom. So my boys did not. They will tell a woman in a minute, a young girl in a minute, I am not gonna put my hands on you. That's just like fighting my mom and my sisters. So I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to put my hands on you. The best thing I can do is walk away. That's the best thing that I can do, to walk away. I'm not going to say a word to you. I'm not going to even continue to argue with you. But if you put your hands on me, this is my boys. If you put your hands on me, I got some females for you. That was my boys. I got some females for you. And if your mama come, my mama coming too. So that's how I raised my children. And that's how we was going to break that. My boys were not going to be men that were going to put hands on their women. They were not going to be men that was going to talk to a woman and call her out their name. Now, I did have my son have one moment what he did when he was younger, but we had that conversation. And that's a family story that we talk about, that we laugh about, with my youngest son and my oldest daughter. But uh but he understood. He understood. And that's why I said there's generational patterns, generational tools that we can rewrite every day. When you have kids, when you have family, you can rewrite that generational script and change the behavior for your lineage. You can rewrite that story. That story does not have to be the same. It doesn't. You know, men, just because your dad cheated on your mom, don't mean you got to cheat on your woman. Woman, just because you saw your mama degrade a man, or just, how do they say, a woman sits up there and degrade a man in so many ways. Just because you saw your mom do it, you don't have to do that to a man. You don't have to. That's a choice. Things that we do are choices. Just because you saw your mom call your dad all this, or call your uncle who was supposed to be probably your dad homeboy or whatever, or somebody's homeboy that end up being your mama dude on the side or whatever, you don't have to do that. That's a choice. That's a choice. And for me, I had to learn that myself. When you sit down and you're able to look at what you have at home compared to what you have to get to learn all over again, and you don't even know that person and that person personality and this, that, and the other at home, there's nothing wrong with home. A lot of times people get fixated and thinking things are wrong with home when you really actually need to check yourself before you start thinking something's wrong at home. Check your own self. See, we can be a little selfish at times. Language matter. I just talked about that. Redefining terms like silence and brokenness, or resilience. Redefining the term resilience and brokenness and toughness. How can a culture affirm language shift, internalizing stigma? There are some words that we use That's a part of the stigmas that are out here. Oh man, you're so resilient. Oh man, it's brokenness, the toughness. Resilience can be a good thing. I was told that I was very resilient, but in a positive way. Brokenness. When we talk about toughness, my son got to be tough. He got to man up. Well, teach him how to be a man. Teach him how to be a man, not a boy man. Teach him how to be a man, and he'll man up. Teach him how to really respect himself as a man. Because I was always taught a man wants respect, but how can I give you respect when you can't even respect yourself? Every time when I talk to you, every time you're saying something, you calling a woman a B, you calling her an H, you sitting up there talking bad about a woman, but then you looking at me and you want me to respect you as a man, that would make me think you think the same thing about me, even though I don't carry myself that way. Is that how you feel about all women? But you want me to respect you. I just saw this segment where they were talking about, submission. Men want women to submit. But can you submit to leadership? Can you find the right leader to lead you? Because a true leader is also a true follower. Who are you following? And this goes across the board for women and men. Woman, you want a man to respect you, but can you respect yourself? What are you doing to show that you need to be respected? Are you out here, like they say the word manhandling him? Trying to make him feel like he less than? That he don't deserve? But then you want him to treat you with respect? Not call you out your name? Which nobody should ever call you out your name, because I tell them with my youth when I talk to them, oh, Miss Tish, so and so called me this. Is that on your birth certificate? No, then why you answer? Did your mama name you that? No, then why are you answering? Did your daddy name you that? No, then why are you answering? And that goes for male and females. If somebody call you out your name, why are you answering? That ain't on your birth certificate. You don't owe. Everything does not deserve a response. It doesn't. Let that person respond to the way that they want to respond to things. You don't have to answer to those things. So, how is a culture, can we culturally affirm language shifts, internalizing stigma? How can we find out what the stigma is? Sit down and have a conversation. You have my information. I'm here every Wednesday. I'm live. I'm on Facebook Live. I'm on YouTube Live. My number is on the screen. You can easily text a question, ask a question. You want to know about stigma? You want to know what it is about mental health? I am open for an hour. You get an hour free with me here. I am also adding on to the podcast. So my podcast will be going on podcast platforms. I'm looking at Spotify, working on them, as well as some other ones. Also my website, www.whyhecan.com. I found out Wix has a podcast platform also. So I'm working on that as well. For all of those who have been supporting me behind the scenes, watching me, joining in on Wednesdays, thank you. I truly appreciate it. I know that I'm a babe at this. I'm constantly growing, and I love the fact that you're growing with me. There's so much out here in the mental health world that a lot of people have questions about. That the only time you see stuff like that, if you're watching a movie or watching a show, when you see somebody in full-blown mental health crisis, or sometimes here in Houston or wherever you live, you may have witnessed or noticed somebody in a full-blown crisis for mental health, having psychosis or having a psychotic episode or have not been on their meds for a while. So now they're experiencing the symptoms of their diagnosis. But what we do as mental health professionals, if we help them find ways to decrease those symptoms that they've been diagnosed with. May have been insomnia, may have been hearing voices, audible, visual, seeing visual hallucinations, um, always making the story about them and using I feel, I feel, I feel, you don't like, and you know, getting them to actually be more responsible. Because I said this the other day, I don't want to hear the word accountability, because again, that's another word that's out here in the society. Everybody's using so much like it's a curse word. Man, you need to be more accountable. You need to be more accountable about this. You need to be more accountable about that. How about, can we be more responsible about what we do? First, responsibility, taking ownership. Stop saying accountable. I'm gonna ask you to define it. Pull it up in a dictionary for me. You know, the math ain't mathing when you keep hollering about it. Accountable. Take accountability. Take accountability. Oh, if you say it again, I promise you, I'm gonna be like that part on that Tyler Perry movie, Daddy's Little Girl, where she made that statement: if I find another man that's over the age of 35 walking around with a throwback jersey on, I'm gonna scream. That's how I feel about the word accountability. If I hear that one more time without you having clear understanding of what accountability is, you didn't took away the word responsibility. We need to be more responsible before we can take account of anything. Being more responsible about the things that you do. So here we go, another populated word, account. What's next? What's trending? What word is trending next? Can somebody tell me what word is trending next, so we can go and get that out there, so we can have a conversation. So the next thing that we need to understand and talk about when it comes to healing on our own terms, barriers to help seeking, breaking down shame narratives around therapy and diagnosis. Oh man, I can't say that more than once. I can say that over and over again. Breaking down shame narratives around therapy and diagnosis. Breaking down shame narratives. People shaming you because you're saying, "Oh, I'm depressed." Okay, you're depressed. What are your symptoms? What is going on? How are you self-diagnosing yourself with depression? That's why Google is good for Google. Google is good for research. But stop Googleizing yourself. Stop Google diagnosing yourself. You know, I get it that you're experiencing the fact that you want to stay in the house and you close the blinds and you want to be up under the covers. But do you not know that sometimes your body needs to rest because you're moving around a lot? If you're constantly on the go, your body's like, hey, I need a moment. Pause. Let's pause right here. You know, you may be thinking that you're getting enough sleep at night, but you're truly not getting enough sleep because you're waking up tired. So it's like, oh, I need a couple of hours more of sleep. That's not depression. Are you having crying spells? Sometimes we as human beings be so consumed with life that we don't live in the now for certain things. And then you have this moment that you feel like you want to cry. I would say that because I experienced those. And there are times when I know that my body's saying, hey, I need a release. So I will be like, okay, God, why am I feeling like I want to cry about something? What is going on? And it's like you need to go back and sit in that you did not deal with. I need you to deal with that. And your tear ducts are created for a reason. There's nothing wrong with crying. Why people have a problem with crying? I would say this in a joking matter. If you was constipated and it hurt. It'll be some tears going down your eyes. So going down your face, them tear ducts are there for a reason and they need to be cleaned out. So it's okay to cry. It's the what are you crying about? What is causing the tears? What is causing the sadness? What is causing these things for you to experience? Okay. That's what I'm talking about. We have put so much stuff inside of these boxes of society, and society feels like, you're not supposed to feel this way, and you're not supposed to have feelings, and you're not supposed to go through this, and you're not supposed to have moods, and you're not supposed to. Do you know that flesh, your flesh? Last I heard, last I remember, last I known, I had a paper cut and wanted to be a part of the cursing ministry because that hurt. That paper cut. I am flesh, but I'm a spirit inside of this body to do the work that I need to do here while I'm on this earth. And this is why I'm here. This is what I love. This is what I enjoy. I enjoy having those conversations nobody else wants to have. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having those conversations because I know they are something that people want to talk about, those who are ready to talk about those things. So when we talk about barriers to help seeking, breaking down the shameful narratives around therapy, I have to ask this question. And I'm going to ask this to my audience, those who are listening, those who are not listening, those who want to know, those who just really would like to hear it. What is your fear about therapy? What is your biggest fear about talking to a therapist? What is your greatest concern about sitting down talking with someone such as myself? Because there are a lot of Black and brown therapists out here. There's a lot of therapists of all races out here. What is your biggest fear? What is your fear? What is your concern that you feel like would not be addressed when sitting down to talk with someone such as myself? It's called talk therapy. And we should know exactly what it is that would fit you and would be tailored to you per session. Now, the first 2 or 3 sessions are getting to know time. It's a relationship. It's a relationship. We're getting to know each other. You're getting a feel for me. I'm getting a feel for you. We're getting to know each other. You're getting to talk to me about what's going on, what's ailing you, what is really causing you to feel the way that you feel, and being able to find out the best tools and techniques to get you to that safe space in your mind to know that it's going to be okay. That's what I want to know. What is the barrier that's causing you to not want to seek therapy? What is the fear? Because we got to be able to heal at our own terms, but also reimagining mental health in minority communities. What does that look like to you? What does mental health and getting the proper support when it comes to mental health look like to you? And that's where the silence come in. That's when nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to share the story. So how can we rewrite the narrative? How can we rewrite the story about generational patterns? How can we rewrite the narrative about just because mom did it or dad did it, I don't want to do it? I was one who said that. I didn't want a marriage. I saw my parents' marriage. They had their marriage that they wanted. I know that that wasn't the marriage that I wanted. That was not, I didn't want that. And generally, that's the reason why I got divorced. I want to love. I want to be able to give the love and give it the right way. Give the love, give the support. Be there. But I don't have to be there on force and on abuse. I don't have to do it. Talking to somebody all upside their head is not love to me. Decreasing the value of that person in your eyes is not love to me. It's not. Love shows up and love shows out. Point blank. For your children, your parents, your loved one, love shows up and love shows out. Creating safe spaces for men, elders, immigrants, the LGBTQ plus community, the voices. Creating spaces for every individual, no matter who or what they are. I love my Gen people, my seasonal citizens. Because you know why? Because I get to learn things from them and see how they were raised and see what happened in their lives. And that's what makes me want to even more press towards breaking those generational barriers. Men were taught to provide, but there's more to financial providing. There is. You can provide and not be in a house. That's not healthy. You're married, but all you do is work. And then you come home and then you're like, she's nagging, so I want to leave. But it's like you're working. I really want to spend time with you. But it may look like a whole different conversation. And that's why it's good to be friends, real good friends with your love. Have conversations, open conversations. Be free to talk about a lot of different things and don't take offense because their past is their past. You're creating a future with them. Community centers, care models, highlighting healing circles, peer led programs, and cultural match providers. How does collective healing differ from individual therapy? Collective healing, healing in a group. I love groups. I like groups because it's like a open conversation where everybody has their own idea. Nothing's wrong. There's no right or wrong to that. Because the way that they experience life may not be the way I experience life, may not be the way the other person experienced life. We can all learn from each other in groups. On a good note, don't come inside of groups and teach us your bad habits because you're going to be out of there. But when you come inside of groups and you're ready to expose those bad habits so you can learn newer habits, better habits, then we can talk about that. But don't come inside a group trying to teach somebody how to do bad things. That's not what groups was created for. It's a time and a place when you can sit down and expose your truth of how you experience life and be able to share that with a groups of no more than 8 to 10 people. 8 for children, 10 for adults, and sometimes it's less for that children, 5 to 6 individuals for teens, and 8 to 10 for adults. And the reason why it's a minimum of that, because it has to be a very quaint and intimate setting. Intimate, not intimate like that, but something where everybody can be able to sit down and be themselves in a group when they're ready. It's not like AAA or AAA or whatever it is, where it's more people in there and you have a sponsor. Groups, we don't have sponsors like that because it's not dealing with substance. When we're talking about grief, we're talking about depression, we're talking about, and grief comes in many different facets. So it's not just the loss of a loved one. I just actually had someone experience grief by changing from one place or one living in one state and moving to another state. And it's an adjustment. They're getting adjusted. So when we're talking about healing on our own terms, reimagining mental health, we're talking about those steps and those stages, being able to learn how to trust again, having mental health access in a community, building trust between the community and therapists, faith, spiritual, and mental wellness. How do we bridge the gap? Spiritual tradition and meeting a therapist with clinical practices. Tools for rewriting behavior scripts across generation. Let's break these generational patterns. They're not good. They have not serviced us at all. Because it's the same. If you keep doing that statement, if you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, they say that that's insanity. It's not really insanity. It's just you really are not willing to change. So let's work on the change, rewriting the behavior scripts across generation. Let's change these generational patterns, especially parents who are having children now, who are having children. These grandparents now, this new generation of grandparents, let's rewrite the narratives for these generational patterns. If you don't want your grandchild to grow up impoverished, then change the mental behavior when it comes to money. Learn money literacy, learn literacy, financial literacy. Learn how to build a business. We are very creative people. You can take that business and rewrite the script and narrative. Start a family business where your kids can take it. And I tell my clients, that is really scriptural. You're supposed to leave generational wealth. May it be mental, emotional, physical, all of that for your next generation to carry on to their next generation for at least 4 generations. So that's my mom should have left it for me to leave it for my daughter to leave it for her daughter, and for her daughter to leave it for her daughter or sons, whichever way it goes, for generations. Then how can culturally affirming language shift internalize stigma? How can we break the stigma by having cultural conversation, redefining the language, changing our language of how we see mental health? How do we look at mental health and redefining the terms? Let's redefine stigma. Let's break that down. Let's change how we see it and how we vocalize it. Then barriers to seeking help, creating a safe space. You're not the only person that wants a safe space. Other people want safe spaces too. Safe space to be home, away from home. I make my home a safe space, and for me too. Because I want to be able to come home and relax and enjoy and watch TV and not walk on eggshells, needles, pin needles, or nothing like that. Even with my children, it's a safe space. My kids call me. I love the fact, and I can share this. I love the fact I have my daughter who's in California right now to this day. We have such a great relationship. Even my youngest daughter and my sons. My daughter in California, she can be traveling and she will connect me when she's Ubering, because she feels safe enough to know that I can watch what she's doing. And she's getting ready to age up. In August, we talked about that. I'm not, I just realized all my children will be in their 30s this year. Jesus. Okay. So also create a safe space for your community. May it be your intermediate community, the ones that's close to you. Creating a safe space for those who are your twos, the ones outside, friends, close loved ones, and your threes. Creating a safe space for them to let them know, hey, I have boundaries. But I made this one statement to a client, and I said, even though you create boundaries for those outside, make sure you adhere to those same boundaries for yourself. You talking about healthy boundaries? Make sure that you can stand on your own healthy boundaries too. Don't create a boundary just because you want to create a space between you and somebody that you can't do the same for them. Create healthy boundaries. Then also, how does collecting healing differ from individual therapy? Creating circles. Create a healthy circle. Create a vibe for you. Create a good vibe for you. Create that vibe. And how I want you to create that vibe, I got to share with you the things that are going on. My brother, Big Skinny, the one who's there at the Tonight is the Night Mental Health Symposium, he's doing a Virgo's comedy show. Why? Virgo? Okay. I'm a Virgo. I'm a Libra. I'm on the cusp of Virgo, Libra. September 24th. It's me. But September the 20th, That's his birthday. He's celebrating his birthday and his Virgo friends. You got Mel with the details. Mel do be having them details. I'm telling you, Mel got them. Woo, Mel with the details. TT Carson is gonna be there. Of course, Big Skinny, Cousin Al. Let me tell you, they say Cousin Al. I say Cousin Al. Al, I'm telling them, educators who are comedians have a whole lot to tell. Educators who are comedians have a whole lot of stories that they can have you laughing about. And sometimes you may think those are your children, but they're not your children. They're somebody else's children. This Stacey Anderson, I had a chance to meet her and her adorable son. Oh my goodness. These individuals are set out to make you laugh. And that's on September the 20th at the New Orleans Bar and Grill. Westlake, Houston. You will see that on my social media page. Then also on August the 9th, I was trying to look for the flyer for that. August the 9th, Laughalooza is happening at it's happening downtown at the Match Theater downtown Houston. I will be there. Your girl yielded. It's called Laughalooza, Kings of actually not Laughalooza. It's called Kings of Comedy, Kings of Clean Comedy. It's happening on August the 9th. And actually, it's at the Anderson Theater. My bad. Anderson Theater. I stand corrected. Be on the lookout for these two comedy events on my social media page. These are my radio family. We were all on Raise the Praise together. Yielded is doing some amazing things. She's coming up for some amazing awards as being the hostess with the mostest. Of course, Cousin Al is going to be there. Big Skinny is going to be there. And a host of other comedians are going to be there that night. I will be there. It starts at 7. Tickets are still available. You'll be able to see it. You can still purchase your tickets while they still last. And that is August the 9th at Anderson Theater. And that's out Wallaceville. Oh, come on now. North Shore, Chatterview area. Y'all need to show up and show out. I'm so serious. These two shows are happening in that area at Atascocita, Humble, North Shore, Galena Park, Sheldon School District, Crosby, all in that area. Y'all need to purchase a ticket because laughter is the best medicine. That to me, outside of therapy, laughter is the net. I'm gonna have you laughing when it comes to me inside when I'm dealing with, when I'm talking about mental health. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna have some fun. There, even Jesus wasn't serious all the time, but that's what we're doing. August. Can we say August? August is Pause for the Cause for mental health. You'll have an opportunity to donate on my website because school is starting back up. I'm doing that sponsorship for teachers. You have a heart for teachers and you want to see your kids have the best school year, come join, collaborate with me. Let's talk. My sponsor, NAG Therapy, NAG Mindful. We're still doing some things together. Brick and Mortar coming along really soon. I'm very excited about it. So let's get it going. Let's make 2025, the end of 2025, these last 4 months. You have August, September, October, November, December. Last 5 months, excuse me. Let's make these last 5 months, August, September, October, November, December, to go out with a bang to kick in your safe space of mental health for 2026. 2026, we are still doing For the Love of Basketball and Mental Health. Be on the lookout for that because I got some big people coming. I got some heavy hitters that are coming in for 2026. And also, the Mental Health Symposium will happen again. So those are our main two events that we do for Why He Can't and the unapologetic therapist, where we can get back to the community. If you missed it, you don't want to miss them shrimp and grits. I don't know if we're gonna have shrimp and grits next year. Next year we just may have, may not, maybe another brunch. But be on the lookout. Things are happening. I am growing. You are growing. Let's grow together. Let's evolve, because when we know better, we do better and we can respond differently. Let's heal on our own terms and let those terms be positive. Let's grow as a community, as a minority, because we are a great majority. And let's reimagine mental health in a positive light, because mental health is not negative. People are just experiencing life moments, and how they respond to them may concern you, but best believe if we get them in the right capacity with the right resources, life for them can change. You're here in my heart, and that's all I have to give. My heart and my word as the unapologetic therapist. And I'm going to be very unapologetic when I come to you about mental health. Stop being afraid. Tell me what's causing the fear for you when it comes to seeking resources and therapy. And let's have a true conversation. Connect me with your pastors. Connect me with your your parishioners, those your overseers. I would love to have a conversation with them. And I'm sure we're going to be on the same path for healing, because we all have to heal. We need to heal, and heal as a community, heal as a minority, heal as a Black and Brown community. We need to heal, and we need to heal effectively and in the right way. I don't no longer want you to be afraid or walk in fear for lack of understanding of what mental health really is. So come and talk to your girl, the unapologetic therapist. Until then, I'll love you to life, and there's nothing that you can do about it.